Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Your brothers here, Najib wa Uthman, the Deen Love brothers, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we love the Deen. Actually, all of you guys are Deen lovers. So everybody's a Deen lover, mashallah. Hopefully, right?
Inshallah.
All right. So inshallah ta'ala, we got a beautiful and a very extremely important. Sometimes I know I say that in every question because everything we do is important. You know what I mean?
Right,
you know what I mean? But this one is a little really sensitive. You don't see that many people really talking about it, and we wanted to take up on it because we're the brave guys. Okay.
Wallahi, we're miskin.
Masakeen, but you know, we're getting into this one. All right. So we got a question here, Deen Love Q&A today. Is it permissible reading erotic stories? We know that there are many of our youth who are not even married, and many people who are even married, but then are still reading this type of content. What does that do to one's deen? What does it do to your way of thinking? What does it do to your marriage? What does it do to your way of life? How does this impact you? This type of reading and knowledge that this really fantasization,
Absolutely.
this like fantasy world of reading these erotic stories.
Right.
Man's gonna jump on it. What do you think?
Bismillah wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There's a lot of effects, negative effects that come with this, and also there is consequences that may, alter relationships in your life, and even family ties. So one of the things, most important things, is that these erotic stories, first of all, the things that are being discussed in it are things that are not supposed to be out in public, and it's about really sexual deviancy, social sexual deviancy, and this is something that's widespread in our society that we live in today. It's promoted from the music industry, the movies, fashion,
everything, entertainment.
Makeup industry, everything. It's entertainment industry. It's promoted heavily, and it's very unfortunate that us youth, take a huge dose of it, right?
Really, the foundation of this content is it does several things. One of it is that most of these erotic stories are filled with lies and exaggerations that can only be written, but in real life, it doesn't exist. So you have many people who grow up fantasizing some of these things that they've been reading.
Absolutely.
But in the real world, you will never see some of these things. It's fiction. And so when somebody gives you this amazing format of, I don't want to go into the detail because obviously it's a little bit sensitive, but they tell you these two people are doing this and that and this and that. And most of it, I'll be honest with you, it's out of the human level even at times. And sometimes they're playing with your emotions and they're appealing to your temptations and feelings. That's why most of the people who read these things are not married people, but rather young, most of it, it is young sisters who read these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm a mu'allim and I was a teacher for a very long time. Me and my female students, we used to talk about this and get into it all the time. Because they would be reading these books. Sometimes I'm walking around and I pick up these books. I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, what is this? What? You know what I mean? You see a guy and a girl holding hands and they're like, you know what I mean? And they're like looking at each other in a way that's like...
SubhanAllah, this also develops, like the brother was saying, which is consequential, is unrealistic expectations.
SubhanAllah.
In marriage, in that part of your life, you're going to be having some very unrealistic expectations from your potential spouse, and this may be even a reason why somebody doesn't get married, right? Because they're sticking to these things that they read off of a book or read from a book, and they're saying my potential spouse has to have these qualities, right? He needs to pick me up in the air, and then they're with
I need to be feeling this way.
I need to be feeling this, and I'm not. This has to be it, right? And you know what? This again, it's something that I really feel like shaitan, he feeds to our brains, right? And you know what? That's Islam. Islam is something really simple. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us really easy and very simple formulas. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he's discussing marriage and the spouses that you need to be looking for, he's very, very simple in it. You know, he's telling you the reality. The reality is people, they marry for deen, they marry for akhlaq, they marry or they marry for wealth, they marry for fame, looks, right? All these things. The most important thing you should be going after is deen.
Yeah.
Right? And these books are not, obviously they are not promoting deen, right? They're not saying look for a person who's muttaqi. They're not saying that, right? They're saying look for those things that will feed your lust, your desires. Look for that. And, you know, when you kind of burn this up and, you know, burning up the fumes here with a youngster, this is not a good thing, because they may even enact out some of those feelings and desires in haram.
Of course, this is information that's going in. It will be processed.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, to be honest with you, you got to look at these. When you have something in your hands, you have to know the origin of these things. Most of the people who write these things are morally, like, you know, they're extremely, they're empty in regards to morality.
Absolutely.
Which means they're immoral,
Absolutely.
unethical, and all they're looking is either they're looking for money and they want to sell this because they know it'll cater to people's temptations and feelings and desires,
right?
So on, and their fantasy and so on and so forth, and so they're just selling it, or they're extremely deviant about it, which means they want to make sure they deviate you emotionally, like, you know what I mean, in regards to your temptations and desires, because, you know, they know most young people are really vulnerable in this category.
Absolutely.
And so because they know that, they're catering to that. So if you fall into that trap, you're going to grow up really, really in a tough condition. And if you're already older and you are actually married and you're reading these things, you know, it's really, really sad, because you will not find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you'll take it out on, you know, it could be a guy or a girl who's reading this, but you're going to take it out on your spouse. And, you know, you'll really never feel a level of satisfaction, because you put yourself, you know, if there's a poison inside you, you'll never feel good, you know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Unless the poison is taken out.
Absolutely.
And because this is information and knowledge, it's going to be hard to take that out once it goes in there. You have to really cleanse yourself, make a lot of dua. You know, you need a spiritual purification from these things.
And this is, again, I know some people, they may, some parents, they may see harmlessness from this, and seeing their children reading books, and they'll say like, oh, mashallah, my kids are reading books.
Big book, yeah.
Like, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. We're reading. We need to be a people reading. We are people who promote reading, right? This is good. But what are you reading? Just like the same thing, the things that you're watching, whether it's TV or YouTube, what are you watching, right? What is the material that you're taking with you, right? Will this lead you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or is this something that is haram matter? Or is this something that is a matter of vanity, right? A waste of time that you're doing, okay? So as Muslims and as people who want to reach the level of the muttaqi, or the people of taqwa, God consciousness, people who are always aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to be doing those things that are getting us closer, right? So if you're reading a book, even it be about dunya affairs, you know, this is something good, business, you know, even if it's politics, okay, fine, good. You know, you're gaining some sort of knowledge, right? But if this is about, you know, 50 shades of Jahannam and all this other stuff, right? This is like you're really playing with yourself, and you may be playing the game, playing with fire, and then once you get burned, don't be surprised about it, right?
Really,
SubhanAllah. May Allah protect us from it. It's very, very dangerous.
Wallahi, really, really sensitive, guys. We advise you guys to not be reading these erotic, quote-unquote, stories.
And we advise ourselves as well,
of
right?
Course,
so
of course.
Don't think that, you know, we're not just telling you guys this, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us in what we're saying, and allow us to implement what we're saying, you know, as well as you guys, allowing you guys to implement those things.
Yeah.
And, you know, making you steadfast and making us steadfast on the deen and the da'wah and everything that we're relaying with you, we're sharing with you nice nasiha, advice, inshallah ta'ala, before something bad does happen. So the best treatment, the best cure is prevention. Staying away from shaitan. لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان. Do not follow the footsteps of shaitan.
Yeah.
Right?
He's going to lead you into it.
Absolutely.
Using your vulnerabilities.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He's not going to use your strengths against you.
Absolutely.
He's going to use your weaknesses.
Yep.
And if you already know you're a weak person in this category in regards to sexuality or in appearance or in, you know what I mean? Or like if you know, everybody has their own internal weaknesses.
Absolutely.
If you know you have, your weakness is in these categories, feelings, emotions, sexuality, confidence, then this is really, these are things that you don't want to mess around with. Where other people who really are not, that's not their weaknesses, one, they wouldn't even look for these type of things, and two, even if they did, they know how to kind of swim away from it. But in general, this is not something permissible to be doing, and it leads to haram, and anything that leads to haram is haram. And we advise you guys the best of what we have said. Stay away from these type of books. The origins are not good. Purchasing them, that money is not going into anything khair.
Absolutely.
Which is something you can't do. If you're a parent, leaving them at your house so that your kids could take them, or possible, you know what I mean, exposure to your own kids, it's not a good thing. There is nothing khair or goodness about these erotic stories and these books that people have these days. There's a lot of harm out there, guys. We advise you to always be on guard. If you're not on guard, you will be slipped up. All right? So inshallah, take the best of what we have said. Really sensitive and emotional video. Stay out, man's about to cry. Don't cry. All right? See you guys. Sallallahu sallam ala nabiyyina wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.
بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن بإسلامي وإيماني أضاء الكون وزمن